June 11th, 2011. A little after 1 in the morning on the Wilbur Cross Parkway just outside Milford, Connecticut. A driver in an SUV hits something large. It isn't a deer. Lying on the shoulder, in the headlights, is an adult male mountain lion. Roughly 140 pounds. Fully grown. Wild. Mountain lions do not live in Connecticut. The last confirmed eastern cougar on record was from Maine in 1938. 80 years of nothing. And 3 months before this animal died on that highway, in March of that same year, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service had finished a formal review and reached an official conclusion. The eastern cougar was extinct. New York City is 40 miles from where that cat was lying. Here is the part that should not be possible. They ran its DNA. It was not an escaped pet. It was not released by anyone. It was born in the Black Hills of South Dakota, and it had walked roughly 1,800 miles east, one of the longest journeys ever recorded for a land mammal in North America. Its genetic profile matched hair and scat collected in Minnesota and Wisconsin in 2009 and 2010. Researchers had been quietly tracking this animal for 2 years without knowing what they were tracking. So, a wild cougar crossed half a continent, walked into one of the most densely populated corners of the United States, and nobody could confirm it existed until it was dead on the asphalt. People had reported seeing it, alive, in Greenwich, days earlier. Those reports went nowhere, and that is where this stops making sense. Because here's what makes this a genuine mystery, and not just a strange story about one cat. Across the eastern United States, people report seeing large cats constantly. Not tan ones, black ones. Report after report, decade after decade, out of Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Michigan, Texas. Every state wildlife agency says the same thing. There is no such animal, and they are right. That is the uncomfortable part. By the end of this, you'll understand why both sides of this argument are correct, and why that turned out to be worse than either of them being wrong. Before we go any further, subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely keeps this channel alive. And answer me one thing down in the comments. Where in the world are you watching from? And have you ever seen a big cat near your home that nobody believed you about? I read every single one. Now, let's get into it. Start with the animal everybody is arguing about. A black panther is not a species. It never was. The word describes a color, not a kind of cat. In Africa and Asia, a black panther is a leopard carrying a gene for melanism, an overproduction of dark pigment that turns the coat almost black. In Central and South America, it's a jaguar with the same condition. In the right light, you can still see the spots underneath. Leopards do not live in North America. Jaguars barely do. A handful of males that cross up out of Mexico into southern Arizona. That leaves the cougar. Puma can color. The mountain lion, the puma, the catamount, the Florida panther, all the same animal under different regional names. And here is the fact this entire story balances on. In more than a century of study, hunting records, roadkill, museum collections, trail cameras, DNA work, a melanistic cougar has never been documented, not once, not anywhere on Earth. No carcass, no hide, no skull, nothing shot, nothing trapped, nothing hit by a car, nothing photographed clearly enough to confirm. That matters more than it sounds because of how these animals get confirmed in the first place. Regular cougars turn up constantly, and the way they turn up is almost always ugly. A car hits one. A hunter shoots one. A camera catches one over bait. Physical evidence is the whole system. And the system works. That is worth remembering. Every state that has cougars, or thinks it might, runs the same process. Report what you saw, call the hotline, send the photograph. A biologist looks at the tracks, the hair, the scat, and if there is anything testable, it goes to a lab. It has been running that way for decades. It sounds like housekeeping. Hold on to it. So, if the black cat doesn't exist, why do the sightings never stop? Start with what people actually get wrong, because it isn't what you'd expect. Cougars are ambush animals built for low light. They move at dawn and dusk, and in that light, a tan coat reads as dark. At 60 or 70 yards against timber, with the sun gone, a rust-colored cat is a black silhouette. That is not somebody being foolish. That is how the human eye works. Your retina gives up color long before it gives up shape. Then there's size. People are genuinely terrible at judging the size of an animal they weren't expecting to see. A large black house cat, 40 yards out, low to the ground, moving through cover, gets reported as something the size of a Labrador, and so, frequently, does a Labrador. Then it gets more interesting. There is a cat in the Americas called a jaguarundi. It's small, 8 to 16 pounds, long body, short legs, a small head, and a tail that looks too long for the rest of it. Nothing like a panther. But it comes in two color phases, and one of them is a dark charcoal gray that reads as flat black in shadow. Jaguarundis are officially extinct in Texas. The last confirmed one was a roadkill on State Highway 4, east of Brownsville in 1986. That's 40 years ago. Texas Parks and Wildlife still gets reports. Their rare species program leader has said that people send him photographs of river otters and ask if it's a jaguarundi. And here's the thing about every one of these explanations. They're all reasonable, and not one of them is a species. There is nothing to find, nothing to confirm, nothing to close the file with, which means the file cannot be closed. So, what is the actual danger here? Let's be precise, because this is where a lot of stories about this start lying to you. There has never been a documented attack by a black panther in the United States, for the simple reason that there has never been a documented black panther. 0 incidents, 0 injuries. On that count, there is nothing to be afraid of. Cougars are a different conversation, and there the numbers are real. A male mountain lion runs 130 to 150 pounds. The one killed in Kentucky in 2014 weighed 125. They can clear a tall fence from standing. They kill by driving a bite into the back of the neck, and they do it from behind, which is why almost nobody who has been attacked saw it coming. Attacks on people are rare. Fatal attacks in North America number in the low dozens across the last century. You are far more likely to be killed on the drive to the trailhead than by anything waiting at the end of it. So what's changed isn't the danger, it's the geography. Cougars are moving east, and that is not a theory. A study published in the Journal of Wildlife Management counted 178 confirmed cougar occurrences in the Midwest. Carcasses, tracks, scat, photographs, DNA. 76% of the recovered carcasses were male. That last number tells you exactly what's happening. Young males get pushed out of their mother's territory and go looking for their own. They do not stop when the mountains end. If you're still with me, hit subscribe, because the next part is where this stops being about a cat at all. For 60 years, wildlife agencies have run a system designed to settle this question once and for all. It didn't just fail, it made things worse. Go back to that reporting system. On paper, it's flawless. Somebody sees something, they call it in. A professional investigates. Physical evidence decides it. No opinions, no arguments, just evidence. Now run it for 60 years. The reports come in by the thousands. People across the eastern United States have been calling in big cat sightings since the 1960s, and the volume has never dropped off. Biologists drive out. They look at tracks and find dog prints. They look at photographs and find bobcats, black Labradors, house cats, deer, and shadows. They look at hair samples and find nothing testable. The answer is almost always no, and here is the failure, and it is not the one you would guess. The system was built to confirm species. It was never built to explain people. It can tell you with total confidence that the thing in your photograph is not a panther. It cannot tell you what you saw at dusk on the edge of your own field. Those are two completely different questions, and only one of them has an answer. So, every investigation ends the same way. The agency says no. The person who saw it still saw it. Nothing gets resolved. One side has simply been told it's mistaken. Do that a few thousand times, and you don't end up with clarity. You end up with a divorce. Georgia's Department of Natural Resources put it plainly when a reporter asked them directly. They are unaware of any credible black panther sighting in the state. A senior biologist with the same agency added that you'd be more likely to find an elephant that escaped from a zoo standing in your backyard. Read that again. That is not a scientist arguing a point. That is a scientist who has stopped trying. And here is where it comes back around. By the time the noise had gotten that loud, agencies were dismissing big cat reports by reflex. They almost had to. Nearly all of them were wrong. Which is why a cougar that walked 1,800 miles across the continent was reported alive in a Connecticut suburb, and nobody moved on it. It got confirmed the way they all get confirmed, on a highway at 1 a.m, under an SUV. The myth didn't just waste everyone's time, it buried the signal, and the cats are still coming east, start far out. The Black Hills of South Dakota, western Nebraska, the Badlands, established populations, a couple of thousand miles from any eastern backyard. That's the source. Move closer. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Missouri, Oklahoma. Confirmed animals. Confirmed by carcass, by track, by DNA. In states that had been empty of cougars for 100 years. Not a rumor. A documented, ongoing recolonization of the Midwest. Now come all the way in. December 15th, 2014. Bourbon County, Kentucky, about 2 miles north of the town of Paris. A woman looks outside and sees a large cat. A farm dog goes after it and runs it up a tree. An officer from Kentucky Fish and Wildlife arrives. The animal is about 30 feet up, in a tree, in a yard, near houses. It's judged a public safety risk, and it's shot. It comes down out of the tree onto the ground. A male, 125 pounds, around 5 years old, healthy. The first confirmed mountain lion in Kentucky since before the Civil War. It was not black, it was tan, and it was standing 30 feet above someone's lawn, in a state where, officially, there are no big cats at all. The reaction wasn't relief. People were furious that it had been killed. This is not something coming to your town someday. In parts of the eastern United States, it already has. So, step back and look at what we actually have here. Two groups of people, both telling the truth, and the truth does not add up. The agencies are right. There is no black panther. There is no melanistic cougar. There is no specimen, no carcass, no sample, nowhere on Earth. The count is 0, and it has been 0 for as long as anyone has been counting. And the people are not lying either. Some of them are seeing tan cougars in bad light. Some are seeing oversized black house cats at a distance they can't judge. Some, down in South Texas, may be seeing a small, dark cat the state declared gone 40 years ago. and some of them are seeing exactly what the record says is impossible. A real, confirmed cougar in a state that isn't supposed to have any. There is no single answer sitting underneath all those sightings. There are 4 or 5 answers, tangled together, and no way to sort out which is which from a description given after dark. Here is what we know. A black panther has never been found in North America. Cougars are real. They are moving east, and they are turning up in yards in states that swore they were gone. Both of those things are true at the same time. Here's what nobody can answer: why the sightings don't fade. Every other American monster story loses steam as cameras multiply. This one hasn't. There are more cameras in the eastern United States right now than at any point in history. Doorbells, dash cams, phones, trail cameras on every deer lease in the South. And after all of that, the count is still 0. And the reports still come in, so either tens of thousands of people have been wrong in exactly the same way for 60 years across 20 states, or there is something moving out there that nobody has managed to put a name on. And here is what's happening tonight. Somewhere in Kentucky or Georgia or Missouri, a motion light is going to come on over an empty driveway. Somebody is going to stand at a window and watch a long, low shape cross the grass and disappear into the tree line. They're going to call it in, and they're going to be told it wasn't there. Next time, we're heading west to a state that declared an animal extinct, closed the file, and then had to open it again when one turned up dead in the mountains with a hunting arrow in it. If you made it this far, you're the reason this channel exists. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.